Hi, Roy here of Roy Reads Anything, and today going to do a tag video. So I was tagged by Tangible Reads for this, so that's a fantastic channel, massive energy and loads of insight, and you never quite know what's coming up next, so recommend subscribing to Tangible Reads. This is a tag that was originated by Spread Book Joy, and it is the evolution of the reader tag. So this is about how one's reading has developed over time. And I've deliberately not rehearsed this, so I'm just going to read the questions now. So let's see what I come up with. So, prompt number one, what you read. How has your taste in books evolved? Well, that's quite a big question when you're 5 trillion years old. I suppose when I was a lot younger, I would go in phases. So I would be like totally into science fiction, and then I started reading comic books and like get out of here, science fiction, in with the comics. And then it was fantasy, and so each wave would replace the previous one. And partly that was economic because I never had enough money. So if I had to sort of sell all the books to buy the new books because I was only ever going to read epic fantasy from now on. So what do I want all this old stuff for? Now, very different. I grew into reading all sorts of things and not worrying so much about genres and letting things mix and match. So yeah, that become a lot more varied. I suppose along the way, I've read highbrow stuff, I've read middlebrow stuff, and I never lost a great love for fantastic literature of various sorts. So basically, the stories of imagination and sensation of some kind are pretty much what I would default to. But read all sorts of things. And now I'm doing a Booktube channel about eclectic reading. So I guess being sort of evolving not very far from the kid who would read the cereal packets and his mum's magazines and the television listing magazine and just everything that was around, and try pick books off the shelves and try and read grown-up books. Basically still that guy. Prompt number two, how you read. Has the format of your reading changed much? Well, yes, in that e-readers are a thing, and I do use them. So I prefer paper physical books, no question about it. I also sort of collect books. I have a certain amount of books that I've got for their aesthetic appeal, or just to have a set. But yeah, I also do have a Kindle, a Paperwhite Kindle, which I like, and sometimes read on my phone as well. So it's spread out into all those different things, and they're there for different reasons, I suppose. If it's there's certain things like poetry I would always get in on paper, because I think the way it's laid out on the page is really important, and that can go a bit odd on an e-reader. But I do like to have a bunch of novels and stuff that I can read in the dark or when I'm travelling or whatever. So format has diversified. Prompt three, how much you read. Do you read more or less than previously? Right. Yes, I'm reading more, partly because I'm studying as well as reading for pleasure, so I'm reading for different reasons. And it's sort of expanded. It's flowed into every nook and cranny of life. So reading lots and lots more. When do you read? Well, lots of times. I think there's some. I do read late at night. I sometimes wake up in the night and might read for a little bit then. Might read first thing in the morning if I wake up really early. other than that, during the day I might well sit down for like a session. A bit of a magpie, I'd probably go from book to book as well. And how often you read? Yeah, that's changed too. In like I say, I want to read lots of things, so I'm finding different settings and times to read them. Pretty chaotic answer to that. Um, how has Booktube changed you as a reader? Well, yes. So I love the challenges and the events, so it's sort of getting me to read outside of my, I would say, comfort zone, but it's not that I'm thinking, oh my god, how can I possibly read this? It's more like I had assumed that I wouldn't enjoy things, or that certain things or certain genres, certain types of book like weren't for me, and now I've sort of turned off that setting, so I will read what comes along, and preferably finding either through my own sort of interests in going down rabbit holes or through events, readathons, etc. Some kind of theme that says, right, let's read a whole bunch of whatever in a fixed space of time. So yeah, so Booktube's broadened things out and it's kind of made it more enjoyable. Going back to the previous question about reading more or less than previously, I probably read about the same number of words, but what's gone to make room for reading more books is a lot of the social media. So I do a lot less scrolling and reading. You know, there are whole social media platforms I've virtually abandoned, and used to be a bit of a news junkie too. Now I do read a online version of a newspaper every day, but I kind of dive in at the top and cherry pick a few things to read. Again, it's not like oh, I've got some spare time, let's just read that. So that kind of, I guess, junk reading has gone in favour of things that are either more enjoyable or more that I'm learning more from, or both. So tag some people as usual. Not thought of that in advance, and also I think I'm a bit late to the party with this one, so I'm not going to tag some names because they'll almost certainly be people who have already been tagged with this. So it's a self tagger. That's the point. That's the position we've evolved to. Yes, right. So hope that makes sense. That is the evolution of a reader tag. Anything more I want to say on that? It's a mixture, isn't it, of having all of ourselves from different stages of life kind of still existing. So the the boy who liked adventure stories will still like the same adventure stories or new ones in a similar ilk, and the aging man who might be more reflective, might be, looking out the window and thinking, what, how are these things even like this? There's literature that would speak to that as well, and everything in between. So it's sort of like an internal library, I suppose, of types of types of reading that I still respond to. So like evolution itself. So just as we might have, like, reptile brain is still there as well as the more highly developed ones. Um, it's kind of the same with reading. I speak as someone who's just finished reading an Enid Blyton book, and is going on to read a book about the creature from the Black Lagoon. So yeah, talking of evolution, there's a classic. See, you want evolution? Here it is. Or throwbacks. If you have evolution, you've also got the things that refuse to evolve, but they're still there, coming at you. Okay. Thanks everybody. I'll be back with something else another time. See you in a bit.